Welcome to CTV News Your Canada. It's Thursday, May 29th. We'll bring you profiles of fascinating Canadians and stories about your community. Thanks for watching.
It's lunchtime in downtown Montreal. While some people are eating, others are serving looks, using the sidewalk as their catwalk.
Today I went with a long tie instead of a bow tie.
Lawyer Ben Jeske says he feels more professional wearing a tie, but adds he's an anomaly.
In my office, most people do not wear neckties. Men will usually wear sport coats or suits with open collar.
Sure enough, we did not find many businessmen wearing a full suit and tie.
If we meet the clients, usually we put a suits.
We used to, but since I would say 5 years, we don't wear a tie anymore.
Stylist Jeff Golf says workplace style has changed over time.
Maybe 10 or 15 years ago, it would have been unheard of for men to show up at a corporate workplace without a tie. Now our clients are encouraging their teams to not wear ties to the workplace.
He says it started before the pandemic, but adds casual work fits are even more apparent as employees return to the office.
The whole working from home experience forced people into just not having to dress up, and that has remained in the sense of wanting to still be comfortable, but also looking work appropriate.
Back on René Lévesque, bright-colored sneakers are also standing out. Many professionals say comfortable kicks have become a staple of their work attire.
Probably white sneakers and a white shirt or a blue shirt and a nice belt, and that's it.
I like a dress and some sneakers sometimes.
Etiquette expert Julie Blais-Comeau says there is a time and place for trainers, maybe not when meeting royalty.
When we dress, we communicate. It depends on the activity and where it is. So yes, the guidelines are evolving.
In the halls of the National Assembly today,
don't compare me with Justin Trudeau, come on.
The cybersecurity minister wore blue Nikes sneakerheads lust over.
That's a local business. They sell it online, and it's they have a little default.
After all, Golf says it's all a way to express personal style. So businessmen and women, the world is your runway. Olivia O'Malley, CTV News.
A taste of the kind of entertainment that will be available over the next 4 days in downtown St. Albert. The St. Albert Children's Festival is back starting tomorrow with both free and ticketed events featuring more than 40 performers.
We've got an incredible circus performance piece from Australia coming all the way here, complete athleticism, as well as tons of activities for the kids to actually try some things out themselves.
We've been lucky enough to travel all over the world, and I tell you, the St. Albert International Children's Festival it's a world-class event.
This festival is such a mainstay.
In Gallagher Park, the lineup was released today for Edmonton Folk Fest, the city's largest music festival. You can let it all go. You can let it all go. Rainbow Kitten Surprise, Serena Ryder, and Stephen Wilson Jr. are among the artists who will join already announced The Roots and Mountjoy. Festival producer Terry Wickham says 60% of this year's acts are new, and ticket prices aren't going up.
I think people are sick of inflation, so we've trimmed back from 65 at our height to about 58 artists this year. That's one way that we save a little bit.
Folk Fest runs August 7th to 10th with tickets on sale June 7th. Also happening in August, Edmonton Pride Festival, which will see the return of the Pride Parade downtown.
And it just felt like the right time to bring that back. And we've been working with community partners over the last several years to really make sure we're holding space for everyone.
Internal disagreements led to the parade being canceled in 2019, but with a new group in charge, the Edmonton Pride Fest Association is optimistic the parade can make a triumphant comeback. Nicole Weisberg, CTV News, Edmonton.
It's all about the love of the game.
Its influence on pop culture, on language, on music, and putting it in a place where people can kind of get a real full understanding of what it is.
The Home Game Toronto Loves Basketball exhibit is a pop-up by the Museum of Toronto located on Queens Quay by the Harbourfront Centre. It's a mix of storytelling and the history of basketball in Canada.
This exhibition came together really thinking about what is the seminal moment or what is the seminal kind of theme theme that brings Toronto together. And basketball is obviously such a topic.
From high school ball to the collegiate level, the NBA to the WNBA, the pop-up exhibit pulls together the roots and ties of the game to the culture of sport in Canada.
And to see that as the intersection and connection of community, but also some really important and often ignored histories in the city.
With iconic moments on film, memorabilia, art, and conversations with legends of the game, it's all on display, creating a dialogue.
And one of our, I think, guiding ethos through the whole exhibit was not to present it as one linear narrative.
We wanted to be all-encompassing. It's not just highlighting the impact of an NBA team, but really just seeing how a city evolved over many decades.
There will be a free block party here on June 13th to celebrate the 6th anniversary of the Toronto Raptors championship win, and the exhibit will be in place until October. For more information, you can visit museumoftoronto.com. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
David Reed is a Saskatchewan paramedic and armed forces veteran who believes medals should be awarded for emergency personnel who lose their lives in the line of duty.
This medal is a tangible, lasting memento. It is a thank you bestowed onto the family from the province as to the sacrifice and loss that the family has felt.
It would be the first medal of its kind in Canada and include fire, EMS, police, and corrections workers. Letters of support from professional organizations have been sent to government.
So this medal would truly make a difference in the lives of those family members, to have that tangible remembrance of that person.
Now the provincial government says the medals are under consideration. The NDP opposition believes it would be a meaningful gesture.
To me, this is the least we can do as a province to show our thanks and response to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice on our behalf.
Not only is a medal being considered, the Saskatchewan government says a Saskatchewan Protective Services Monument is planned for Wascana Park. It will recognize the service and sacrifice of first responders. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
It's a first of its kind in London, a mixed-use village within Soho. London Community Foundation brought 6 nonprofit housing developers together to build over 690 mixed-income rental apartments on the former Victoria Hospital lands south of Huron.
Some of the apartments are market rent, some are affordable, and some are going to be deeply affordable. To create a really inclusive community and help get the rentals that the City of London really needs.
Zarin Development Corporation is among the 6 organizations, a nonprofit sponsored by Community of Christ Church. It has completed the first building in the new village with units that will accommodate individuals requiring barrier-free living.
In 9 of our barrier-free units, we actually have installed what are called ceiling H-lifts in the bedrooms. And the H-lifts are a mechanical that allows a person in a wheelchair to get in and out of bed, which sounds kind of simple, but for a person in a wheelchair, it just gives them so much more independence.
Village Soho says it will prioritize sustainability through environmentally friendly buildings, green space, underground parking, and accessibility to public transit. The apartments will be rented at a wide spectrum of rates to accommodate people from all walks of life.
Out of the 119 units, as I said, 60 are classed as affordable. And why they're classed as affordable is because we set the rents at 70 to 80% of market.
Some of the housing that will be built will also offer social support for health and wellness.
We're creating this inclusive community where people feel they belong and people aren't isolated.
The first Village Soho model suites in the Zarin Development Building at 370 South Street are now open for viewing. The expected occupancy dates for the remaining buildings vary between this fall through to summer of 2028. Rita Ismail, CTV News.
Police K9 Nelson is hard at work, doing what he does best.
Nelson's role is to provide emotional support to victims of intimate partner violence.
offering calm, comfort, and cuddles in times of need.
He's just sitting on me, and this is what he does when he meets with victims as well.
A soothing effect that helps people relax when someone may be feeling overwhelmed, speaking about difficult experiences.
You know, maybe paying attention to him, right? Like paying attention to how he feels on our body, paying attention to his ears, right? You can see me, I'm playing with his ears. Then the people that come and speak to us maybe feel more comfortable.
Roxana Manoyu is his primary handler and a risk navigator with the Victim Services Unit at the Ottawa Police Service.
It's a very rewarding job. I've been doing it for a little while now, and I have a lot of passion for it. I love meeting new people and really helping them in times that are really tough.
K9 Nelson just recently received his police badge from Chief Eric Stubbs.
K9 Nelson's training is very different from the dogs you may have seen at the airport, for example. Those dogs are trained to sniff out bombs, drugs. K9 Nelson, he's got a very special skill. You're so good.
He's always wanting to show his skills. And he knows when his vest is on. This is the magic of these dogs, right? They know when their vest is on, that means they're working.
Nelson also goes into the community with his secondary handler.
Going to some of our partners, such as our Violence Against Women shelters, just for them to meet Nelson, for their staff and their residents to be aware of the services that we do offer for victims when they do want to come in and report, or if they're involved with the police service.
An important job, and all he asks for in return are pets and kibble. Peter Sperling, CTV News.
We're seeing for the first time the new deep-sea mining technology splashing into the waters of South Georgian Bay. Impossible Metals is a sustainable deep-sea mining and harvesting startup, the company developing mining prototypes that will one day scour the ocean floor.
Eureka 2, which is our deep water prototype autonomous underwater vehicle. We're really looking forward to demonstrating this system and then moving on to our Eureka 3.
Here it is in action. The machine is focused on collecting deep mineral rich in battery metals.
We need to go down, collect these materials in an environmentally and economically responsible way, and ultimately be able to supply that into the battery supply chain.
While traditional techniques for mining in the ocean can have lasting impacts, these prototypes are developed with an emphasis on the environment.
Our vehicle isn't a dredging vehicle. It doesn't have a riser system. It's not vacuuming up the nodules from the seabed floor. What we are doing is hovering and using selective harvest to pick up the nodules.
Collingwood, they say, the ideal location to develop and test.
The bay becomes a really good test site for us, similar to the deep ocean. The deep ocean has very clear water, and so our vision systems, to train our vision systems, to use our vision systems, we need that clear water, and the bay provides a fantastic test bed for that.
The town happy to see the prototype showcased along the shores of Collingwood.
They've been in operation for about 3 years, so we are really pleased and thankful for them choosing Collingwood as their location to work from.
The CEO and co-founder excited to showcase the positive environmental impacts.
There's a lot of pushback against mining, but we believe we can do mining in the most sustainable way. We're going to a location that has orders of magnitude less life. We don't have human impacts, and you compare that to a rainforest in Indonesia, where there's a huge amount of life that's being impacted.
Impossible Metals says it plans on building Eureka 3 throughout 2026 in hopes of taking the deep sea mining machine to international waters to begin mining the following year. Luke Simard, CTV News, Collingwood.
These junior high students at Sir John Franklin School are focused on drawing pictures on small pieces of paper. They use all kinds of colors to make their art stand out, and some have a lot of detail. Kevin Chow is giving them a few tips that he's used to turn his art into a business.
As artists, we travel the world right now. We work with different zoos and aquariums across the world, and we help them raise awareness through education of various animals.
8 artists are at the school teaching a variety of art forms through the Arts Reimagined program. Students spend the day rotating through all the classes. Here they're learning how to make neon art. First they sketch out their design, then add light to it.
We had an artist in residence come and we had to poke
We drew it, and then we had to poke through and just like thread the LED, which was really fun.
The artists are super excited. There's a real pride right now with 40 of us going out into schools to support students' learning and to engage them in a different and new way.
All the artists explore the students' creative side. In this class, they learn how to perform without a script. Their instructor gives them a scenario and they act it out.
Yeah, I do like the arts, especially like singing and acting, because it shows like one part of me that I don't show a lot.
Art helps you like think. Like if you want to relax, you could do art. Even if you want to write an idea, you could draw it out.
Diverse learners at the school are getting a lesson in African dance. There's not much instruction here other than to just follow the rhythm. The school's principal says the program offers a valuable resource that wouldn't otherwise be offered.
It's those really positive memories and connections with teachers and artists, and maybe inspire them to follow their path in this.
Kevin Fleming, CTV News, Calgary.
It's a shapeshifter, and it will randomly appear to bring you to the world underneath the water if it gets you.
Diane Lagavin's exhibit, Fighting the Japichum, is deeply rooted in her Mi'kmaq heritage and personal journey.
I was raising my grandson Link at the time, and I realized that there was a gap in cultural toys, and especially in Mi'kmaq toys. When children see themselves represented in this way and their stories represented in this way, it becomes an easier way to foster cultural pride.
The exhibit is currently featured at the Treaty Space Gallery, where art meets community.
We're also trying to make it more into like an Indigenous student center, and Diane's exhibition really combined the two, community joining together and celebrating her, but also having young children running around and picking up the art that's meant to be played with and bringing that joyful spirit into the space.
Many of the pieces are designed to be touched, explored, and added to, making this more than an exhibit, but an evolving expression of shared stories.
They all sort of look different, and that's because other artists and makers have worked on them as well in order to bring forward their knowledge and their stories. People can add their own story, and I think that's also an important part, that people have a sense of shared story, and it gives them some agency.
That collective experience is what helps preserve Mi'kmaq culture.
We're in a time of cultural resurgence and revitalization, and people are able to reconnect, but we can't do that without community.
Indigenous knowledge is cumulative, and it's important to be able to have that access. And sometimes when you're affected by colonialism in this way, that I am, for instance, when you're not in community. I was raised in Spryfield, so it becomes more difficult.
This exhibit appeals to 4 out of 5 of the senses and is on at the Treaty Space Gallery until June 6th, before it moves over to the Zatzman Sportsplex in Dartmouth until the end of the month. Brianne Foley, CTV News, Halifax.
They begin as empty bowls, but are quickly filled with delicious food. Everyone eating, here to help.
I teach here, but secondly, we used to come to this quite often. It's such an amazing event, and it's for such a great cause. So those 3 reasons are kind of like hitting home runs there.
Well, it sounded like an interesting event, and I like to support a local cause.
That cause is the 27th annual Empty Bowls event. Angela Tremarchi is one of more than 600 attendees who paid $50, which gets them a gourmet soup or meal prepared by local chefs, eaten from a handcrafted bowl. Made by artisans from the Waterloo Potter's Workshop, which attendees get to keep.
I think mostly what we'd like to do is to, raise people's awareness around things like food insecurity.
Hosted by Wilfrid Laurier University, the event far surpassed its $25,000 fundraising goal, hitting nearly $30,000. A big deal because for every ticket sold this year, the food bank provides 100 healthy meals.
The statistics show that 1 in 8 households in the Waterloo region experience food scarcity, and we've seen in the past year a 25% increase in that need.
So, seeing a sold-out crowd gives organizers and the food bank a full feeling in a different way.
Food scarcity is something that needs to be continually brought forth in the community, and these types of events show us that this community cares, and it's incredible.
Spencer Turcotte, CTV News, Waterloo.
The
The Doors Open project started in 2005 and offers a glimpse into interesting buildings of Saskatoon.
It gives us an opportunity to have people who've never been here before to come and experience the history that's here. It's also great to invite people back.
The Mar residence, Saskatoon's oldest house, which still sits on its original site in the Nutana area, is one of the 25 stops for Sunday's Doors Open tour. It was built in 1884 and served as a field hospital during the Riel Resistance. Marshall sees many newcomers during the Doors Open event.
It's a good place for them to get some easy education into what it was like to be in Canada 140 years ago.
The doors of buildings like St. John's Cathedral and Drinkle Building will be open from noon to 5 with tours taking place.
Very important in the collegiate Gothic style.
Here at the iconic U of S Observatory, which is almost 100 years old, visitors can see the Astronomy Center in a new way.
The wealth of the architecture, and you can look back in time 100 years ago. This is the way they built things. This is how architects saw this. And you can see the limestone, you can see how they focused on things like symmetry and all of that.
While they do discuss telescopes during Doors Open here, it's also a chance to look at the historical architecture.
Well, it gets very complicated.
It's complete with original windows and chalkboards still used today.
For us, this is about preserving the wealth of history.
These are the stops spread out around the city, including the Old Stone Schoolhouse, the Francis Morrison Library, and the City Archives Building, formerly the Post Office. About 5,000 visitors are expected through the doors on Sunday. Carla Shinkaruk, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Appreciate how Charlotte Friend ended up painting unexpectedly.
I had picked up a paintbrush out of sheer boredom.
We need to go back to when she began raising her baby girl, Becca, optimistically.
She was awesome, and it was number 2, and I knew what I was doing, I thought.
Until Becca's struggles with walking led to her being diagnosed with a mild form of cerebral palsy, which felt devastating.
And I wasn't sure that we, as parents, would be equal to the task or what her future would look like.
But despite Becca's brain processing uniquely, despite the right side of her body moving differently, Charlotte and her husband were committed to help their daughter become the best she could be.
Thankfully, we had a really determined redhead. You don't mess with a redhead.
Charlotte encouraged Becca to face the kids who bullied her for wearing patches and braces with bravery and attempt everything she wanted to do in and out of the classroom with determination.
You might not be able to do things quite as the other kids do, but you can find your own ways of doing things.
And Becca did, graduating from high school after starring in student plays, earning a university degree before landing a good job, and recently marrying the love of her life.
And I wasn't worried about her in life because I knew she could handle anything.
Which brings us to when Charlotte started painting during the pandemic, despite never having done anything artistic in her life before.
And eventually Rebecca said to me, "Mom, you have something." And I said, "No, I don't."
But Becca persevered on her behalf, found a venue for Charlotte to display her work, and her mom sold her first few paintings.
I think I've taught my mom to just have faith in yourself. She taught me that, and I kind of give it back to her.
And now Charlotte is a prolific painter, spending her retirement relishing being a professional artist.
But having somebody in your corner saying, "You can do this, you know you've got this," is just tremendous.
Like Charlotte was once her daughter's biggest advocate, Becca is now her mom's greatest champion.
She tells me, "Mom, I am so proud of you." And that just, I mean, it makes your heart sing.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Victoria.